Commissioners is called to order. The first item of business is approval of board minutes from February 27th of 2024.
President Miller?
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
Motion for approval of board minutes from February 27th, 2024 is presented.
And I will second the motion. There's been a motion and a second to approve the board minutes from February 27th of 2024 as presented. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is approval of invoices from check dates February 23rd and March 1st of 2024.
I'd like to propose a motion for approval of invoices for check dates February 23rd and March 1st, 2024. The total amount was $43,629.20.
And I will second the motion. There's been a motion and a second to approve invoices from check dates February 23rd and March 1st of 2024 totaling $43,629.20. Any further questions or comments? I think that's the lowest I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is to receive bids for emergency contractor services, which has been tabled. So the next item is the director's report.
Yes, Madam President and Board. The director's report, the monthly reports, I kind of indicated last year that I was going to go back into those. So as you know, in the report, it usually compares where we are in a year, like a percentage of our annual and monthly. When I first started these reports in 2020, I had a limited data set to kind of build that from. So I'm reworking those at this point to kind of use a broader scope now, because at that time we were around COVID and some things I don't feel like are valid at this point, or they're just a little off. So I'm going to rework that so we have a better comparison too. So that's all I have on that piece. I do want to discuss that yesterday, the sanitary district, with aid of a few other city departments, notably street department and the Richmond Police Department, we did our annual New Paris Pike cleanup. We started at Freeman Park and we cleaned our way all the way to the landfill. Working down there, we collected approximately 2 tons of trash, which is fairly normal. Between 2 and 3 tons is what we've collected every year, so that went well. You never know in the spring what weather you're going to get, but a little cold, but it was sunny and no wind, so I was really grateful. But we did get that collected. I would say from my observation, I've attended all of these. The large items have seemed to have gone down. I mean, the first year we did it, there were a lot of tires and really big items that had kind of looked like they'd been there for a while, but I only saw 1 tire in my time yesterday altogether, so I think that maybe this is keeping that down, and what we're just attacking now is items that you can tell blew off of vehicles that likely weren't tarped or just not tarped completely and they blew off. There is some things that were probably also litter from drivers, like glass bottles and things like that. There are a lot of those that look like just get tossed out windows, but overall I think we're keeping the bulk items down and getting it done. And that's all I have unless there are other questions.
No questions. Thank you very much. The next item of business is the recommendation to enter into an agreement with Klein-Peter Consulting Group for grant consultant services.
Yes, Madam President and Board. We, the district, and this actually came to us originally last year through, at the time, City Council member Jeff Kappa. In talking with the state, he heard that there were some OCRA grants that may be applicable to some stormwater project. Elijah Welch, district engineer, reached out to the regional representative of that and kind of discussed what those were. And it actually comes out that there are some wastewater funds there and stormwater. They're 2 separate pools and they have different criteria. But in looking at that, we realized it would be beneficial for us to have a grant consultant to help attack these and more strategically apply. In talking with the Beth Fields here at the city, Klein-Peter is a group that they've used in the past for OCRA grants that seem to be very qualified for that. So we reached out and got a proposal, which is what you see in the package here. And we pitched projects that we knew might qualify, and then obviously there can be future discussions about other ones that may qualify. And you'll see those potential ones within the proposal that was sent out. Their proposal comes back, and it's, you can see the fees that are in there. There's a handful of miscellaneous fees, or I'll call them miscellaneous fees, such as like environmental work, labor, wages type things. Those are things we've typically done in the past with our design engineer on SRF projects, but we'll compare that. If we do go to bid on a project, we'll compare what's cheaper, whether to use through Klein Peter or our design consultant. But the main cost is the 8% of the applied grant. We came to find out that that's standard Okra, like pretty much any company you're going to use, that is what's allowable through Okra grants. The good piece of that is we only pay if we receive the grant. There's basically no fee up front unless we receive this. In a short pre-bid meeting, we kind of went over a few of our projects, and they could already, a lot of our projects, as you know, we already have PERs for a lot of these things, or some portion out, but they feel we would score really well. In fact, they don't usually respond to RFPs, according to them, unless it looks like a high-scoring project. So we had several even on our initial stab at a list of possible projects that could go, that seemed like they could score well. So we'll have to work through those strategies. They did say, I think it was, I'm going off memory here, if you do a stormwater project 1 year, you cannot reapply for another stormwater Okra for 5 years.
Oh.
So it's kind of, again, looking at strategy. Which ones can we get the most money for? Which ones do we have, which ones are most competitive based on that? And then you can do a wastewater one. It has to be there's two cycles per year. So if you did it in the fall, you would have to wait to the fall of the next year to do the wastewater one. But you could tandem. But again, you'd have to wait another 5 years on the wastewater side. So we would definitely go through all this. But our recommendation then is to enter an agreement with Klein Peter to be our grant consultant for these Okra grants as presented on these fees.
So what you're saying is, because as I understand it, a lot of these are like income-based of the community and those type of things. So at a sort of a first level look, it appears that we would be able to qualify under those.
Yeah, these are, that is definitely one of the big scoring pieces, and I won't remember all the scoring, but income level is there. If it's a project, they discuss, if it's a project that benefits the whole city, it automatically qualifies because of where the city of Richmond falls under those levels. If it's a project that benefits a smaller section of the community, it's kind of like when we did the SRF that we got the bill money, the $2 million bill money as well for the 2 lift stations. There are census tracts. So if you're only touching one portion of the census, there's census tract data through the grant community, and it's based on that census tract income. But yes, what we had listed here, several of those qualify under one way or the other. But there's also like your contribution, like matching dollars. That's a piece to that, is a big factor. There's environmental pieces. There's several. I think we went through like 8 questions or something like that are really the benchmarks for getting in there, and our projects look to meet those benchmarks. So.
And you were talking about the timing, and I'm not getting back to it, but it looked like they were suggesting that we have an application due yet this June, and we'd hear in August already.
It is.
And then round 2 for like you said, that there was
2 rounds
a year.
It is possible. Strategically, we have one project we think could fall into round 1, and it's far enough along that it could hit round 1. I think what we're going to look at, though, is, again, I think we want to basically select 2 projects, one for wastewater, one for storm, and we'll see which one it makes sense to go for. They talked about wastewater projects tend to be more competitive in round 1 because it couples up with SRF, and you can couple SRF with that as your matching piece. So we may, if it turns out that we're more aligned for a wastewater project, we'll likely be shooting for round 2 if that's our first one. If it looks like we could pull a storm, I think we could still do round 1 of this year.
Okay. So what you're looking for is basically approval to enter into that contract.
Correct. And again, it would be at no cost initially. It's 8% if we are awarded, and then there are miscellaneous costs that are built in that you see in there. And again, we would select that. It would be wholly when we bid a project to see if it made more sense to do it through the design engineer or through Klein Peter.
And I guess it should also be noted that their package included references from several surrounding communities that have been successful.
Yes, and again, going through it, I think they've done, I want to say 3 or 4 in the last year, and all of in a fairly close radius of here, and all have been successful, so.
As well as Wayne County
Yes, within Wayne County.
communities. Any questions or comments?
This would be 50/50 split with,
Or would it depend on whether it was those?
It will depend on the project. So we did put this in the stormwater board meeting as well. So if we did do a stormwater project up front, it would probably wholly maybe come out of storm. If we did the wastewater up front, it may wholly come out of there or be some split. We don't exactly know. It would depend on the project.
got it.
So it ends
Okay,
up getting
that helps.
selected.
Thank you.
Okay. I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to propose a recommendation to enter into agreement with Klein Peter Consulting Group for grant consultant services as presented.
And I will second the motion. There's been a motion and a second to enter into an agreement with Klein Peter Consulting Group for grant consultant services as presented. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is approval of Resolution 3-2024 for the SRF authorized signatory for the Midwest Industrial Park and Round Barn Road project.
Yes, Madam President and Board. If you remember, I believe it was last year, it could have been the end of the year before, but we applied for SRF for the Midwest Industrial Park sewer upgrades. At that time, we did not get awarded SRF. We did not fall in the fundable range. We are, after discussing with our financial consultants and our design team that's working to design the sewer piece, there's no risk for us to resubmit that to SRF. So the goal here is to resubmit this project for that. And this counts for SRF and/or, which is our traditional piece, or SRF's pooled funding. So if we do not fall within our fundable range, which is, we've landed always in that 2% interest group, we could go to SRF's pooled interest rate, which is our understanding from all the entities, is still less than open market. It won't be 2%, it might be like 3.5%. But this would still, in our submission would, if we don't get the fundable, we're automatically on the list to be pooled if we chose to go to the pooled route.
Okay. Any questions or a motion on that?
I'd like to propose an approval of Resolution 3-2024 for SRF authorized signatory for the Midwest Industrial Park and Round Barn Road project.
And I will second the motion. There's been a motion and a second to approve the Resolution 3-2024 for the SRF authorized signatory, myself, for the Midwest Industrial Park and Round Barn Road project. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And that takes us to miscellaneous. Is there any other business to be brought before the board today? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And I will second the motion. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned. And I will turn it over to Vice President Bakshi for the Stormwater Board.
Thank you. I'd like to call to order the Richmond Sanitary District Stormwater Management Board meeting for March 12th, 2024. The first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from February 13th, 2024.
And President Bakshi, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from February 13th of 2024 as presented.
And I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Second item is the approval of invoices for check date February 9, February 16, and March 1st, 2024.
President Bakshi, or Vice President, I'd like to make a motion to approve invoices from check dates February 9th, 16th, and March 1st of 2024 as presented, totaling $23,060.54.
I will second. There's been a motion and a second for the approval of invoices for check run dates February 9th, 16th, and March 1st, 2024, totaling $23,060.54. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. The next item is a recommendation to enter an agreement with Klein Peter Consulting Services for grant consultant services, and this was discussed in the previous meeting.
Correct.
So if there's nothing further to add, I will entertain a motion.
Vice President Bakshi, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agreement with Klein Peter Consulting Services for grant consultant services, paying for those portion of stormwater projects.
Okay. And I will second. So with that, there's been a motion and a second for recommendation to enter into agreement for Klein Peter Consulting Services for grant consultant services. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. That takes us down to miscellaneous. Is there anything miscellaneous for the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion to adjourn is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.